Okay, hello everyone. In this presentation I will cover the main points that you need to focus on when you read and reread about the topic language and thought. Let me begin by saying that there are at least two main claims or positions concerning the relationship between language as a semiotic system, as a system of forms, and thought. And the two claims are the following, and let me read now. One of them is that the structure of a language determines, or at least influences, the way the speakers of that language view the world. The opposite view is that the way people see the world, their culture, is reflected, is manifested in the language that they use. These two opposing claims have weak points and stronger points within them both. Okay? Two metaphors have been used to refer to these two main claims, and they are the language as a mold metaphor and the language as a cloak metaphor. So sometimes they are referred to as positions or theories. You can read it there. These claims represent two extreme positions which are commonly referred to as mold theories and cloak theories. In the metaphor of language as a mold, the content of what we communicate, the content of what we express, is bound up with linguistic form. And the use of the language medium contributes to shaping the meaning and the content of what we express. Thus, from this point of view, words are not merely the clothing or the dress of naked thoughts, but rather they are the shapers of thought. You can read about what these mold theories are based on in the following description, where you see that the mold theories understand language as a mold in terms of which thought categories are cast. You can read it on your own. Now, as far as the language as a cloak metaphor, language is seen as the dress of thought. And this idea is based on the assumption that the same thought can be expressed in a variety of ways. This is basically the claim held by universalists. You read something about universalists and Pinker's views in the notes that you read for today. So universalists can be placed within the cloak theorists, and cloak theories conceive of language as a cloak, as you can read there, conforming to the customary categories of thought of its speakers. Okay, the main linguists associated with the first claim, with the metaphor of language as a mold, are Edward Sapir and his student Benjamin Lee Whorf. Edward Sapir was an anthropologist and a linguist, and his student Whorf was an engineer, but he also became a linguist. He got he was very interested in studying the Amerindian languages and the differences between these languages and European languages. The names of these two linguists are associated with this mold theory or mold theories, and that's why the name of this principle or hypothesis was named after them. In many books you'll see that the name given to this main idea, this main claim, is the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. And as you read for today, This is based on two, or consists of two main principles: linguistic determinism and linguistic relativity. We will be using the following labels to refer to this main claim, or to refer to this language as a mold metaphor: the linguistic relativity hypothesis, or the linguistic relativity principle. Okay, as part of the linguistic relativity principle, some very strong claims have been made, and some of them are the following. Language acts as a set of glasses through which language users see the world. Another statement that conveys this idea is: a language molds speakers' perception of reality. And also, the world human beings inhabit is a linguistic construct. That is to say, all the things that we see them in that way because they have been constructed by language. Okay, how do linguists arrive at those strong claims? Well, linguists have studied and compared many languages, and you read some of the examples for today, some of the comparisons for today. For example, the comparison between the ways in which Aymara and Mandarin conceptualize time. I will use now two examples from two other languages. Chinese again, and an Amerindian language spoken in the northwest of Canada, for you to see how these statements somehow make sense. The examples come again from Chinese, and the name of this Amerindian language is Kwakiutl. And let's take an English sentence to see what happens when we translate that sentence into Chinese and Kwakiutl. If we think of a made-up sentence, the man kills the hen, in Chinese, Chinese people would say something like, man kill hen. So in that sentence, there are a number of ideas that are not expressed. For example, the idea of definiteness or indefiniteness, whether it is a man, any man, or a particular man, number, if it is plural or singular, that doesn't get expressed in Chinese, and tense is not expressed either. So somehow Chinese either hides this information, or this information is not important in conveying the message. Something similar happens with the Kwakiutl example or translation. And in Kwakiutl, a number of concepts need to be expressed that are different from the concepts that need to be expressed in English. So neither the sentence in English nor the sentence in Chinese conveys the information that you have there at the bottom of the slide. For example, in Kwakiutl, the language would have to indicate somehow, by means of some kind of marks, what the place relationships between the man, the hen, the speaker, the listener are. I mean, whether they are located close, nearby, or far away. The idea of whether the hen and the man are visible or invisible. Who does the hen belong to, and maybe other concepts too. So we don't have the sentence in Kwakiutl, but the idea is that that language would have to mark that information in conveying the message. So we can see that the differences between languages in general, differences like these led Sapir-Whorf to propose that languages, and not only their vocabulary, but more importantly their grammar, languages impose a kind of frame, a kind of filter, through which their speakers understand reality, through which their speakers see the world and what happens around them. For example, Whorf said that the grammar is what is more important in shaping, let's say, the way we see things, because we don't pay attention to grammar. Vocabulary is important. Somehow we see the world in a particular way because of the vocabulary items that the language that we speak has there for us, but mainly grammar, the structures that are not hidden, but we are not aware of, and shape the way we see things. For example, if we think about grammatical gender, a language like English makes use of natural gender, but Spanish and French employ grammatical gender, and we mark whether an adjective or a noun is feminine or masculine. And Chinese does without either of the two. The question is, do these facts tell us something about the worldview of those who speak English, Spanish, French, or Chinese? Well, people who support the mold theories of language, of the relationship between language and thought, would say that definitely yes. And universalists would say definitely not. Okay, just a few points about language. When we discuss these issues, we will be using verbs and nouns like conceptualization and to conceptualize. To conceptualize is to form an idea, a concept of something in our minds. So an example would be, we often conceptualize the family as an economic unit. The notions of interpreting, understanding, seeing, conceiving are also part of the meaning of the verb to conceptualize. One more point about conceptualization and to conceptualize. Who conceptualizes and what is conceptualized? If you paid attention when you were reading for today, languages and speakers conceptualize aspects of reality, entities, feelings, phenomena. Things like matter, space, time, love, hate, anger, natural events, etc. So what we have to ask ourselves when we read about how language and thought are related, we need to think about the role of languages. What role languages play in the speaker's conceptualization of the surrounding world, in their perception of experience. Okay, these are the main points that you want to keep in mind as you read and reread the texts that you were supposed to study for today. And this has been a very short presentation because the program I'm using doesn't allow me to record more than 15 minutes. Thank you for your attention, and you have the bibliography there for you to see where I got this information from. Okay, see you in the forum today. Bye-bye.